Thank you, and sorry for not speaking Italian. I don't speak Italian. Next time I promise to be perfect Italian guy. And this time English is international language, unfortunately. I have a presentation to show something to you while speaking. And first of all, while I'm switching it on, I would like again to thank the filmmakers. It was incredible, and I think not every Armenian could make this kind of film about our problem. So thank you again, and it was marvelous and very, very sad. And your words were very, appropriate to what I was thinking about during watching it. The presentation is also linked to what was shown and what we had spoken about, remembering and thinking about the genocide in the contemporary Armenian society. I tried to bring some models as theory developed about how to think and how to remember genocide, Holocaust, and how Armenians do actually in the contemporary society. So there will be some approaches and some practical examples. And I would like to start with the small part, short part from the book of Israeli philosopher Avishai Margalit, who starts his book on ethics of memory with this remembrance of his parents speaking about genocide, about Holocaust. In the end of World War II, it was maybe 1944, they were living in Palestine and were listening on radio every day about killed Jewish people in Europe. And the mother was, bringing candles and lighting them in the memory. So the discourse was how to remember. And the mother said the Jews were irretrievably destroyed, as you can read it. What should we do? She was speaking is to light these candles and to think about the past. And father intervened, saying, no, this is the wrong point. This is what Armenians do. They all the time speak and think about the past. This is wrong model. We have to light the candles to light the way to the future. And we have to remember to go forward, not to step back, and not to stay on the same place. So this is another model which the father proposed. And let's speak about some approaches which are developed after that, and let's look on how Armenians do this, actually, without knowing Avishai Margalit. So Aleida Asman is a very famous scholar from Constance University who developed 4 models of remembering. Dialogic forgetting, remembering in order to prevent forgetting, remembering in order to forget, and dialogic remembering. So first is dialogic forgetting. The aim of the model is to forget. But how to forget? By speaking. And she says that 2 parts, the perpetrator, so the enemy and the victim, have to speak all the time about what happened in order to stop the problem in the end, to reach the forgetting. So you can't forget if the both sides take their responsibility for the problem. If the perpetrator says, yes, I did it, I remember. And when the victim says, yeah, I was remembering, but if you say you did it, I am ready and I'm going to start forgetting. This is the first model which I think Jewish people and Germans took harshly, not the whole society of Israel and all Jewish people in Europe and in the United States, but part of them. I think, unfortunately, this model is not still applicable to the case of genocide of Armenians, because one part is not ready to start talking even And we cannot reach the forgetting because we didn't start dialogic talking. The second model which Alain Dasman proposes, and which is very applicable to the case of Holocaust, is remembering in order to prevent forgetting. So this strong, let's say, approach to the forgetting and to remembering is to remember and to talk all the time about the problem in order not to let this kind of event happen again in the future. So never again comes from this remembering in order to prevent forgetting. Why do Armenians and Jews remember and speak? To prevent this kind of events in the future. Not because we do have nothing to do. Not because we are angry people or we are, walking around and trying to talk about something to do. No. This happens because Jews, Armenians try to help others. And Raphael Lemkin's approach was the same, actually. To help others, not to help himself. And what Armenians used to do today is to help others to prevent genocide again in the world. And never again is a slogan which comes from this model. This is a very, very applicable and instrumental thing. The third model is remembering in order to forget. And, reconciliation is another word to call this model, and how to apply it. Actually, it sometimes happens when civil wars go on, and then the parts have to reunify again to build up their own country. And both parts know that yes, we can continue talking about this and we can still enemies, but we have the same country to build on, and we have to forget to start the constructive process. And the fourth model is dialogic remembering. So again, as you can read, the model concerns the memory policy of two or more states that share a common legacy of traumatic violence. Two countries engage in a dialogic memory if they face a shared history of mutual violence by mutually acknowledging their own guilt and empathy with the suffering they have inflicted on others. So the problem is that this is not about genocide. This is more about war. When the two, three, or more parts, like in the World War II, were killing each other. And I think that maybe Turkey took this approach as a strategy for itself. It says, yeah, well, it was World War I, everybody was killing each other, Armenians were killing Turks, Turks were killing Armenians. So if we start talking, we have to say that everybody is guilty. But if knowing history at least simplistically, we can say that Armenians were not killing Turkish women and children, not making them leave the country. It was not World War I, it was genocide with use of the situation. So maybe dialogic remembering is a part of Turkish strategy today, but not of the Armenian approach. And some approaches which are used today on the everyday level by Armenians living in the Armenian society, and they may be discussed on three levels at least. So institutional, collective, group, and individual level, how the society, the state, and the people think and speak about genocide. The second level is positive and negative attitudes, and we will see that there are not only positive attitudes towards acceptance of genocide, there are some people in the Armenian society who reject. There is a trend to say I don't care, I don't want to listen anymore, this horrific and terrible thing. And we will talk about this shortly. And the third thing is approach or level is symbolic and pragmatic attitudes. Some perceive genocide symbolically as symbols, as signs, as pictures, as a part of art, and some others as an instrumental thing to do something with that. How to use genocide to do something, either to justify the problems in the society, saying we are in terrible condition, that's why we were genocided, now we are in trouble because of that past events. Or we have to go forward because having this terrible event in the past. So instrumental approach, which coincides sometimes with symbolic actions, like show something. And first of all, institutional, collective, and group and individual levels of talking and remembering the genocide. So there are mass protests, as you see in the movie. There is Armenian Genocide Commemoration Day on April 24. There are many actions on the group and state levels. Institutional, collective group levels coincide sometimes. So what state does, the society also continues and supports. So state level and people on the streets doing the same as the country tries to do. So in the question of having very democratic society of Armenia, we have many issues where society criticizes government, etc. But the problem of genocide memory unifies absolutely. There are no clashes, no differences between the state, government, and society about how to speak about genocide, what to do with it. So positive attitudes. First, I think there is collective remembering as reaction to collective trauma. So everybody thinks that, yeah, we have this trauma, we have this trouble, it's very hard to, start the day with this identity of being the genocidal nation. And being a part of collective, being unified, helps. So collective remembering is a very positive approach to help ourselves overcome the collective trauma. The second approach, which is very popular, is that our children must know everything and must be proud of being Armenian. We are not in a trouble. We had a chance to become stronger, to show the world who we are. So this is the chance, and we have to drive this with our children. Again, the positive attitude is that there are still enemies around, and two of our neighboring countries, blockade the border with Armenia, and the genocide was a reaction of the negative surrounding to the complicated and important mission of Armenians. So we must be strong again. The very important thing. We show Azerbaijan, we show Turkish rejection, and this means that we don't have to step back. We have to stay on our place and protect and be strong. We are successors of the great Armenian history, of course, and nobody can take away our national dignity. So Armenians used to think that this is a part of our identity, and our dignity is the first thing which we have to demonstrate and protect and preserve. And it's hard to be a part of historical tragedy, but who say that it will be easy? Everybody had problems in history, different problems, but nobody saying it's true. It's easy to live in the world. A realistic approach is very helpful sometimes to understand what happened with us and keep strong. There are some negative attitudes too, and some of them come from not having this capacity to live with the fact of being genocided all the time. It's very hard. And taking and talking and remembering the genocide without essential changes in the process of recognition by Turkey makes no sense sometimes. How long can we speak about genocide in Turkey with silence? Sometimes people, say, yeah, it's useless to do anything to support genocide, recognition, etc. in Turkey does nothing. Unfortunately, there are some officials with whom I used to speak all the time, and some of them, unfortunately, say the same thing. Yeah, what could we do if Turkey is a member of the United Nations, for example, where Azerbaijan proposes and supports some anti-Armenian notes? What could we do? Turkey is strong. Some Armenian officials used to say this, unfortunately. But they are marginalized. They are not there. Again, I call this approach is negative, actually, and maybe those people don't think this way, but the second negative attitude is that depicting Armenians as predominantly victims in the national historiography does not help. We were not always passive and were struggling, having many heroes, seeing our ancestors as victims' hearts. So even in the books of history, we see that there are pictures like this, and the Museum of Genocide shows this kind of collections to the tourists. It hurts, and there are numerous of heroes which were struggling, not only looking at how his wife and child were taken away and killed, but killing Turkish soldiers and helping not only his children but other children to survive. And there are two at least genocides recognized recently: genocide of Yazidi people who live within Armenia today, and Assyrians who were genocided too. And Armenian men were helping those two nations to survive the genocide. Armenian heroes. So we need more about them, including these symbolic actions. Negative attitudes. Actual way of talking and remembering the genocide simultaneously with negative social conditions. Poverty, mass immigration, lack of workplaces, regular military aggressions from the side of Azerbaijan, etc. deepens the overall depression, prevents from going forward and puts Armenians down. Of course, this is a historical phenomenon disturbed, and it starts today. When we see that there are social problems, we plus to that speak about genocide and say horrifically, absolutely bad situation. And some of the people, stop trying. They say, first of all, our personal life, happiness. We have to try to, construct our life and emigrate for a better life, change our family names, start forgetting about national identity. Why not? And connected to this approach, there is another one which is linked to consumerism, and you know that consumerism is about consuming, buying, selling, using everything. Information is good if it helps, information is bad and useless if it doesn't help. So information about being genocided and about genocide doesn't help actually working to this consumerism view. Sometimes young people, use their time and energy all the time to consume clothing, music, nightlife, and when you say stop and think about genocide, at least for 1 minute, he or she rejects, like, I'm busy, what you're talking about. It's not relevant. But they're marginalized actually, and they're not many people like that. And thank you for your attention. Many questions are actually important to bring to this, and we can talk about this later. Thank you for
Grazie. Prima di lasciare la parola per la saluto conclusione al lasciatore, soltanto un'impressione sulla differenza che passa tra i programmatori dell'omicidio e del genocidio e gli esecutori. Gli esecutori non sanno mai che stanno commettendo un genocidio, perché il genocidio è un complesso di fatti omicidiari e distruttivi sparsi sul territorio.